So without much further ado, I'd like to get into kind of the main topic, and we're here to welcome Bob Galen, who will be speaking at the event. Uh, he's going to be talking about mastering product ownership, the four aspects of product ownership. So maybe Bob, could you maybe just give you a brief introduction? Who are you? What do you do?
Sure. Thanks, Peter and Janani. Thank you for inviting me. I'm Bob Galen, everyone. I've been doing Agile coaching training. I'm a CEC or CTC or CEC with the Scrum Alliance, which is an enterprise level coach. I was looking the other day, I got my coaching cert in 2012, so I'm coming up on 10 years of being a coach. I also do some training. I've been an independent Agile coach trainer for about 20 years or so, off and on. I've had some permanent jobs, etc. I have a passion about Agile, so whenever I see a problem or a challenge in the community, I have a tendency to write a book about it. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So around 2007, we were struggling. 2005, 6, 7, I noticed that we were struggling with what is product ownership. And I started writing my first edition of a product ownership book. It was published in 2009. So it was the first book. I beat Roman Pichler by half a year or something like that, or 9 months. Not that there was a race, but there was. And that book came out. It's now in its third edition. And I just wanted to share, I think the role is so important. And to this day, I think people struggle with it from a product manager, product owner point of view. A lot of organizations still struggle with what do they do, what don't they do? How can I have a product owner a product owner for 28,000 teams, et cetera. So a lot of challenges, and that's me. I spend a lot of time in that space, a lot of passion in that space, and I continue to do that to this day. And the gift today is not on product ownership; it's a coaching book. So my latest book is on Agile coaching, and I'll say that word, badass. You don't have to say it. Some people are offended by it, so you could, if you don't like that term, you could say well-rounded coach. But I think badass, I actually have an affinity for badass, but well-rounded is a good replacement.
It's funny when I'm giving my talks, I have this little slide in there, bright red, warning, may contain strong language and inconvenient truths, managerial discretion advised, okay, and get people's permission to go on. So if badass is going to scare you away, they probably don't want to look at what's inside.
Exactly.
So anyway, what are you excited about these days? What are you working on right now?
I mean, the coaching is what's really,
Yeah.
again, the problems I see, and product ownership is still a challenge. It doesn't mean we're not doing well, but there's a lot of opportunities for improvement, I think, in product ownership in 2022. And then the genesis for the coaching book is I felt we've lost our way from an Agile coaching perspective. Everyone today, I joke in the introduction of the book that everyone today is an Agile coach, and we probably have 200,000 or more Agile coaches in the universe. But what does that really mean? So trying to define what excellence looks like. The product owner, my energy in product ownership was to define what does excellence look like. Not that I have this secret, but I think having a high bar of what good looks like in product ownership is necessary, and it's a moving target, and in Agile coaching as well.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is on the one hand, you've been working on coaching, and your first love was product ownership, or maybe the first challenge. What do you think is the overlap between coaching and product ownership? I mean, are these two complementary professions, or are they is there an overlap? How do you see the relationship between the coach and the product owner?
It's funny, Peter. I just did a newsletter a few days ago, and I was reflecting on the book. And the minute I hit code freeze on the book and published it, I started thinking of things that I could have changed in the book, or I could have amplified more, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I was like, darn it, I missed the release window for that idea. And I think in the coaching book, I probably didn't emphasize. I overemphasized that it was a book for Agile coaches, but I underemphasized that I think coaching skills are necessary skills for all roles in Agile contexts. So Scrum Masters, I think, so if you didn't trigger on job descriptions or org charts, and you just said coaching skills, Agile coaching skills in a variety of stances, I think almost anyone in today's organizations could benefit from that. I think product owners could really benefit from being able to navigate empathy, for example, empathy for their clients, meeting people where they are, understanding the dynamics of a good coaching conversations, of powerful questions. That can and is very valuable for product owners. Okay. So I'm hoping that managers, leaders, Scrum Masters, product owners, team members, just team members could benefit from coaching. So that's the overlap, I think, between the two.
Okay, so what are you going to talk about? Your talk is going to be kind of mastering your job, mastering the role of product owner, and you talk about the 4 aspects of product ownership. What are you going to talk about?
So between the second and third edition, I had been talking for a few years about something called the 4 quadrants of product ownership. It was a model. I like a good 4-quadrant model. I can't help myself. I like to to put things in the 4-quadrant models, and the 4 quadrants of product ownership, from my point of view, are product management, project management, business analysis, and leadership. And those are areas that I think product owners should be balanced across. And what I'll do in the talk is sort of deep dive into those. The other thing I try to do in the talk is to get product owners, attendees, to quantify how much time they're spending in each quadrant. And so we actually go through an exercise of quantifying % of time that you're spending in each quadrant. And then at the end of the exercise, it's how much time should you be spending in each quadrant. So what I want to do is a load balance of, are you balanced in the role that you have in your current organization? And should you be making some adjustments? The other aspect of the quadrants is, I don't know, if you look at the depth and breadth of a product owner role, I've met very few product owners who can actually do all aspects of the role, meaning they have either they have the time for it or they have the skill for it. So I actually think product ownership is, one of the metaphors is, it takes a village to be a product owner rather than it's an individual responsibility. So part of the 4 quadrants is identifying areas where you have strengths, identifying areas where you need to spend time from an organizational point of view, and then where do you need help? So where are you going to land, and where do you need partnership to do a great job of product ownership? So move it from me, I have to worry about all of it and work 800 hours a day to do all of it, to what is the requirement, the 4 quadrants requirement, and how do I partner with other folks to make sure that we have coverage?
Okay, so you're saying that the product owner, that it's not just the job for one person, that the product owner is in some way too big for a single individual, and that person is going to have to somehow,
yeah. I think to do it well, to do it deeply and broadly, I think it's a very challenging job. Now, that's not to say that it's product ownership by committee. So I'm not alluding to that.
Here I was trying to lure you into a fundamental discussion about the Scrum Guide.
No, I'm not. No, you're not going to lure me into that. No.
No, actually, I've been listening to what you're saying about coaching and coaching skills for the product owner, and I think we could have a great conversation about personal agility and product ownership and Scrum. Because this whole thing about, how you use your time, balancing, time is your most valuable commodity, your most precious currency,
Yep.
and so you only get to spend it once. So how do you spend it? And that says a huge amount about what you consider to be really important. So who do you think is going to benefit most from your talk?
I've done this talk.
Who really needs to come?
I've done this talk a lot, and people leave, I think, changed and really encouraged to grow and to ask for help, et cetera. So I think any product manager, any product owner, any business analyst, anyone who's on the product side in organizations would directly benefit. So I think that's a broad brush. And I've seen that over and over again. The other thing is, it's not me telling you what works. I want as a product person in the product area, in Agile context, I want you to self-reflect. So the 4 quadrants is a tool for you to self-reflect of, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What does the organization need? What does my team need? And how do I balance it so that I deliver, a high quality, a high bar of product ownership for the organization?
Okay, awesome. Is there maybe something, a little secret or a surprise or something that you can reveal already, for the people who came today?
So I won't reveal it, but I will tease people. There is a 5th quadrant. So you have to come. I don't know if that makes sense spatially, but there is a 5th quadrant that we're going to explore that actually has to be aggregated with the other 4 quadrants. So I'll just leave that out there. There's another quadrant. There's another area of concern. Okay,
awesome. Okay, so thank you very much. Really excited about your talk, and I'm realizing, what I would love to do is add some kind of interactive and dialogue, more communication, because just the topics that you've been addressing have gotten me very excited, and the overlaps between your work and my work and what the others are doing. So at this point, I'm going to say thank you very much, Bob. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be giving away your copies of the book. I'll be sharing the URL at the end of the video. So those of you who are here will want to hang on. Probably, you'll want to, set a time limit that they might have to claim it in the next 24 hours. Otherwise, you'll be giving away free books forever as I put this up on the on YouTube. But the idea is to put this up on YouTube. So just give me 1 second here to turn the screen share back on. Yeah, so thank you very much. By the way, Bob's talk is going to be, he is our 3rd speaker, which means he will be speaking on, I believe, May 31st. Please correct me if I'm wrong. We actually now have, I just today published the calendar, okay, as a calendar format, so you can import it into your calendar. Bob will be speaking on Tuesday, the 31st of May, 2 o'clock Central European Time. That'll be 8 in the morning Eastern Time, 5:30 in the afternoon India Standard Time. And for the rest of the world, well, Google knows everything, so they can tell you the other conversions. So anyway, and the other thing is, Bob is on Twitter, so, you can send a tweet off to him. Please use the hashtag #GlobalPO Festival so that we can find it. Tag Bob Galen and myself if you want to ask a question. While we're here, does anyone have a question for Bob? Do we have a question for Bob before we say thank you?
Hey, Bob, do you have a 4-quadrant system for product management, like that role overall as well? That maybe PO kind of falls in one of those?
Actually, one of the quadrants is product management. And so I try to drill in product. When I was defining the quadrant, there was a lot of confusion early on, and I think there still is. There's role confusion between traditional product management and product ownership. So product management is fit into what I chose to do is fit some of those activities into the 4 quadrants of product ownership. I'm not trying to get into the org chart. I'm just trying to talk about activities, product management centric activities. Now, I do have some tools not related to the talk about how to do that mapping organizationally between, I encounter organizations all the time that have product managers and product owners. And to me, it's useful for that organization to define what each side does and what the shared responsibilities are. And I could share them with you. If you just email me offline, I can share that with you. There's no magic. It just helps if you get those folks together and you have them collaborate around defining roles and responsibilities.
I'm going to be both. So I'm going to be the PM, and I'm also going to be, there is no PO, so I'll be responsible for that too. So thank you.
So you're welcome. You would fit into the quadrants, but I think even looking at those sheets might be useful for you just to identify, so you're not overloaded part of the four quadrants is to make priority decisions about, if I don't have infinite time, where do I need to prioritize my time? Imagine that, a product owner prioritizing things, but prioritizing my time and my investment. And because you're going to be overloaded, because I mean, I'm not saying you personally, but there's the potential of having role overload because you have two hats, right?
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you, Bob. So if you have more questions, please feel free to toss them out into Twitter, and obviously, come back to Bob's session at the Product Owner Festival.